Seat yourselves, men and women of planet Earth. Come as you are, from work, from taverns, from study, science hall, and all that exists. Come all who are weary of their status quo, bored, hungry, unsatisfied. Join us today at Conscious Speaks. Hello, everybody. It's Kellie J, host of Conscious Speaks. And today, we have an amazing audio healing experience to create for you, spirit-led, all the way from Boston. And today, we're going to be meeting with an amazing woman, a peer and a friend of mine, Dr. Xuemei Zhong. And Xuemei Zhong is the assistant professor of medicine at the section of hematology and oncology and the Department of Medicine at the Boston University. And she's also a health and life coach at HOE Wellness. And HOE stands for Heaven on Earth. And I really love that acronym. And she's the author of an amazing book. It's called The Joy of Letting Go of Your Biomedical Career, The Ultimate Quitter's Guide to Flourish Without the Burnout. So let's all take a slow breath in and a soft exhale out and give a warm, conscious welcome to Dr. Xuemei. Welcome to the show, Xuemei. How are you doing?
I'm good, Kellie. So good to be back.
Yes, it's so good to have you back. Oh my gosh, everybody out there listening, this is our second show that Xuemei and I are creating, and we're very excited. There's some wonderful things going on, and if you're out there listening, we always invite the guests to set the intention for the show, and I usually read it, but today we're going to have Xuemei set her intention from her heart live. So what is your intention for the audience and for your audio healing podcast today, Xuemei?
Whoever out there resonates with whatever the message comes through today in our program, I really hope, we can get connected and this message can help you.
I love that. I love the intention. It's real time. It's in the moment. And we're going to be talking about moral injury and its correlation in Western medicine and how that works with doctors and patients. Okay, now back to you and I, Dr. Xuemei. How are you doing today? How do you feel? How's everything going in Boston?
Everything is amazing. We're frozen cold today, but when I went out and I just see the crystals of ice formed in my palm trees, it's just so beautiful.
Oh my goodness, that makes me, that takes us back to our first show when we talked about the meaning of your name.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Share those.
Winter doesn't bother me, right?
Yeah, right. And it's what is that was the first blossom, cherry blossom in the winter. Can you tell the audience again what the meaning of your name is?
Oh, Xue means snow and Mei is the cherry blossom.
That's it. And then we're talking about ice crystals. I love it. So, I think that there's something we want to share with the audience today, and it's very exciting for me as an author. I'm self-published, but you're an author that has a book out, but you just got picked up by a new publisher, I think, in New York. Do you want to tell the audience about that and what's going on with your new book?
Yeah, it was exciting. The book was first published in June as an ebook on Amazon, and now it's being picked up by a New York publisher, Morgan James Publishing, and they are going to redesign the book. And you already saw the new cover in your post, and the paperback book will be all available in bookstores next year.
I'm so excited.
It's probably in September. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. That's just it's such a great gift to receive when you create from your heart something you want to give to the universe, to people, especially something like a coaching book to help people find their way through stressful times and find inner joy and peace, their authentic selves. And then to have a publisher pick it up in the day of self-publishing, which is so amazing because that's how my book is out there. mean, there's so much excitement to get that recognition from a publisher being picked up, right?
Right. I heard that since last year the average manuscript proposals they received every year is like 5,000, and they only publish like 150.
Wow.
So I'm really happy that I think they think the message is very unique, and the book is well written, and probably that's why it's got picked.
Right. And it's meant to be. Can you tell the listeners out there a little bit about your book?
So it's very clear, pretty much said in the title, the very long title. It's the joy of letting go of your biomedical career. And by letting go, it not necessarily mean you absolutely just quit or leave your job, but really to let go the old mindset, old structure of the biomedical field.
I really like that when you said it's the letting go, and it reminds me of our pre-conversation before the show when there was a post or a blog that you put out. I want to say recently, but it could have been over a month ago, that said, "Quit your job when you love it, not when you." I don't remember if it was hate it or if you're unhappy. Can you elaborate? Will you elaborate and tell the audience out there a little bit about that?
Yeah, because the word quitting, when I first designed the book title, a lot of people concerned that if the quit is put a negative image or a stigma, quitting your job is like a loser's thing, right?
Yeah.
But really, quitting is, especially quitting a biomedical professional job, takes bravery, not a loser's mindset.
Right, courage.
And most people quit that job is because they don't like their job. They don't like what they do. They don't like the situation. And when they move on to trying to find a new job, they think if they can just work on their resume, better their interview skill, and get a different job, they'll be happy. But oftentimes that doesn't work. Because the energy they carry over has not been resolved. And what they experience in the past might reproduce in the new environment, even in a different form or different ways, magnitude, but they probably will encounter the similar situation again. So when I coach my client, when the people that I would love to work with is really not loving their career. They absolutely love what they do, but they're experiencing the burnout and moral injury, which prevents them from doing what they originally want to do in their job. Right. So that's what I mean. Really loving what they do and upgrading their career path to a different place, different level, different form, so that allowed they were originally intend to do.
Right. Then that's what I hear too, is like, loving what you do, but as we talked about in your last show, getting to the point where you've exhausted the learning or the tools that you're meant to pick up there. And so you can level up, but we don't know that sometimes, right?
Yeah, people get so exhausted, and they don't even have the energy and time to stop and think clearly. So they keep, like the merry-go-round. You just can't stop. You just, every day you get up, you go, and then come back and exhausted and sleep, and next day you just keep going, and there's no time for clarity and direction to move to.
Right. I had a quote come to me the other day that said, "If you don't stop, you'll never get there." And and that really makes me think of that merry-go-round, right? If you're on it and it's just going around and
around and
around, and maybe sometimes you get, I'm having a vision right now when you're a little kid and you'd play on those, and some people are holding on, some are halfway falling off, some are laying down on it, and The merry-go-round of life. That's the merry-go-round of life, right?
Yeah, when you get on it, when you started, you probably, want to have fun.
Yeah.
Everyone is excited to
Yeah.
go to medical school, whether to be a physician or a scientist. It's our kids' dream.
Yeah.
Like, it's very glorious profession, and
Right.
you definitely want to go to that merry-go-round, have fun. But, after a while, you realize there is some problem there.
Right. And, I think that comes down to perception again, right? Where we have that idea in our mind of, helping people, giving back, creating new science for cures, or people get excited about a notion because they've had something happen to them or they've experienced something happening to someone they love. And then, as you discussed in the last show, you dedicate your time, your money, all this work, hours of your life, and you get there, and it just might not be what you thought it was going to be, right?
Right. Right.
And I think that's where the part that you spoke about, it says, quit your job when you love it, because I have to believe that whatever brought us there was love, but there's probably a different door. And I think that's what's cool about HOE Wellness. And I think that's what's really exciting about your level up process is it's a way to show you how to look at where you are and fall back in love with what you've created to possibly open new doors or to regain that sense of balance where you are, right? Because we always are where we take ourselves.
Right. I love what you said. Just open new doors, definitely. Yeah, that's what I work with my clients. And when they come here, is like exhausted, have no clue what to do, to leave or not to leave. It's just unthinkable.
Yeah.
And not much options out there, and full of fear, frustration.
Right.
And but once we coach and work together, and suddenly they say, wow, I never thought of that. I actually can do this. I can do that. And everything is so, achievable. And it's just like a light bulb lights up in their life. And they don't realize they can do what they want to do as a medical profession, but without this burnout.
Without the burnout. Right. That perception just opens up and it blooms again. And there's so much stigma. When you were talking, I was hearing, it's kind of like a marriage, or, when we make a big commitment, we're so afraid of, the initial reaction is if you're not happy, you have to leave. But no, there's other options and there's other doorways. And when we flip those switches, we actually flip the energy inside of us, and then we could be where we are with a renewed faith, with renewed love, and with new steps and paths, especially as you teach in the level up process. Because when I was reading the book, everybody out there, listeners, the book, The Joy of Letting Go of Your Biomedical Career, the ultimate guide. Oh, I just messed it up. The ultimate, and I lost my notes. It is a beautiful long title. The ultimate but it's necessary. Every word is necessary. It's the ultimate quitter's guide to flourish without the burnout. I mean, it's right there. So if we could figure out how to flourish, how to love without burning out, that's how we open the next door, I think, with clarity. I jumped on a tangent there, but does that feel right?
Yeah.
I really like that. And you are going to offer some free or complimentary gifted books to some of our listeners today, right?
Yes. Everyone is interested in reading, just email me. I set up an email that's easy to remember. It's better than the long title of the book. It's called The Joy of Letting Go at gmail.com.
Excellent. thejoyoflettinggo@gmail.com. If you email Dr. Xuemei there, you can get a copy of her book, and it is beautifully written. It's a really amazing story of awakening and transformation, of her life story and how she created her amazing career and life that brought her here into Boston University. And then it shows her awakening process, and then it shows her level up process. It walks you through how you can use it yourself, or you could reach out to have her guide you. So if you're interested in any of the conversation, if some of it sparks your soul strand and you want to take that first bite or that first leap into finding out more about the process, I really encourage you to send her an email and get this book, because I enjoyed reading it from beginning to end. I didn't want to put it down. So kudos. And that's exactly why this book is going to be picked up by Morgan & Jones and will be published in paperback this coming September 2020. I just had to give all that love to you because you're so amazing. And so if we were talking more about the clients that you work with, something that came to me today when I was thinking about the show is, yes, that it's the title says for biomedical career, pay for people that are in the biomedical career. But I've seen people on my posts and in conversations I've had throughout this last week really want to hear about it because they heard the subtitle, The Ultimate Quitter's Guide to Flourish Without the Burnout, how the joy of letting go of your career. I mean, I think those things really stuck out. And can you let people out there know that how it works for all different careers, or not just the biomedical career?
The book was originally intended to write for the people that I really know of throughout my career, but a lot of friends, and they're not in the biomedical career, read it, and they told me like, oh my God, like everyone should read it. Yes. It's not just for biomedical professionals. I think, one of the things that I'm not surprising other people in other career found this interesting from the subtitle. I think it's about the burnout. It's quite, it's not just for biomedical. A lot of career people are experiencing burnout. Actually, early this year in May, I think, the World Health Organization, WHO, started to putting burnout as a occupational phenomenon in their 11th revision of the International Classifications of Diseases. So wow. I guess, it's a quite a widespread phenomenon across, occupations.
Wow.
But just biomedical is something like, very critical, because it affects the whole, nationwide or global wide health, because, we are the professional take care of, people's health, but we're burned out and really suffering. How can we bring health to the world? So that's more of a deep crisis in itself in the field. But I guess everyone, experiencing burnout in similar way of chronic stress.
Right. And it's really, like when you said it's occupational phenomenon, the energy, like my cellular structure just went, like it really responded to those words, and national health problem. I think that's another thing about the title that really just grabbed people, because whether we're knowing it or not, we're all, we've got this biology system that is our body, and it's connecting to our lives, right? To that merry-go-round, to the burnout.
Most people go to hospitals when they're sick. They do not realize your healthcare takers are already sick themselves, in different ways. Yeah. But they're still working. They're really heroes. They're working so hard around the clock to help you, but they're suffering as well.
That was something that stuck out to the conversation that we had the other night. And I was really looking forward to you sharing your experience and sharing a little bit of that knowledge with the listeners out there, because, we don't, when we go, like you said, everyone goes to the hospital when they're sick. So you don't think about the person there helping you. You just want them to help you, right?
Right. Because you're already, hard enough. The hardship is preventing you from having energy to think about other people's, and the same critical, matter or even crisis for the biomedical professionals. If they are low on energy, it's very hard for them to provide quality care for other people.
Yes, it is. And I think it was on your pajama talk or one of your posts, you were talking about an experience when you went to the hospital recently with a family member.
Right.
Can you
Yeah,
tell a
it
little bit
is.
about to the audience about share that experience with them so they could feel from your point of view, sitting there observing from a third point of view in a doctor's patient area, what that was like?
Yeah, it's very reluctant. The doctors are hands full and they're just running around trying their best. But patients-wise, you're just sitting there waiting and waiting for all these tests results coming out, and waiting for the particular doctor, very specialized, compartmentalized, to address your particular, issues. And it's just long waiting. It was in the emergency department, and some procedure ended up. It's a very simple procedures, but you have to go through the hierarchy to get approval and agreement and have to specify who is doing it. It's very simple procedure. And, if you know it, the first, few minutes, you probably take an hour and you're out of hospital, but we were there the whole day and go through this. And, it's nobody's fault. It's the whole system, the way that the doctors have to go through this procedure of regulations to avoid any legal issues, and they have to wait. They have to do all the tests. They have to go to a particular person for a little question of that, a little question of that. Yeah, it
Yes.
was, very limited what you can do about it.
Yes, I found it very, for me, not only knowing you and then learning, about your book and your process and how you think, but then to see this experience happen from your eyes and in your knowledge base, break it down. It was very overwhelming for me to go, wow, it's just something that, you think about in the back of your mind as a regular person walking with the doctors. You hear about, my dad was just in the hospital and it took them I think 5 or 6 months ago, but it took them like days and he had to go back and spend time there. Like it was a long time for them to figure out what was going on with him. And when you don't know and all you do know is that going there is hopefully going to give you an answer, it can be very, very frustrating. And then I'm finding out from you, it's just as frustrating for the doctors and the nurses because they know that they could do this quicker, but their hands are tied sometimes.
Right. And they know they can do better, or sometimes they don't know how to do better. Like they could give you a lot of things, like, the biomedical science is still in the infancy to what's actually going on in your body. And that's how much test they can do. That's how much drug they can prescribe. And sometimes they are just preventive. They have to give you something and say, well, we really don't know what's going on, but let's try this, let's try that. So
Yeah.
it's very, yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing that for everybody. Because I think it's important for us to remember that we're all human. We're all here. And being human means that we're not guaranteed, this perfect life. There's things that come at us. Our bodies are running on their own mindset, what we feed it, how we exercise it, how we sleep it, how we get on or off that merry-go-round, per se, every day, really does help create the lifestyle. And I heard you say it earlier, we go to the doctor when we're sick, right? And everything is treated when it's gotten to a certain point. But what I see that you're trying to coach is how this wellness can be taken a step further. and how we can
Right.
do it from a preemptive way, or like work on wellness, the opposite side, not sickness, right? Is that what am I getting it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's just a flip of the mindset,
Yes.
The medical field, the traditional Western medicine thinking, and the most of the mainstream research thinking is that something wrong with your body and we have to fix it. Like your gene is wrong, or your protein is wrong, or your signal pathway is wrong. Let's just correct it. Let's correct your gene. Let's correct your protein. Let's block this. Let's trigger that. So that's a lot of manipulation, uh, like intervention towards our system. And logically, mechanically, it sounds all perfect, but our body is not just mechanical.
Right. Exactly. I love that. Our body's not just mechanical. So it's not like a car where we could just take it to the shop after it and just get it fixed. Some fixes are going to be more expensive and take longer. Some are, if you're doing your checkups every year or following the maintenance for the guides, you can pretty much know your car is going to run right. But our bodies have so many, and our energy, and there's just so many other moving parts per se going on to a human body, right?
Right. I think the future medicine, is going to split into two campuses. And one of the campuses is along this mechanical view, and it will be heavily dependent on technology and running AIs and big data and regenerate new tissues and organs, like man-made material to replace, all of that. And the other campus will be more of the energy-based and more holistic way of treating our body, not just mechanically, but based on energy.
Well, you just set my mind rolling there with least 10 questions. So I'm gonna
I know we have to have 10 shows to cover this.
My mind just went, okay, I'm ready. So yeah, well, you know what? That's a great point for us to take a break, and then we'll come back. We're going to have a quick commercial break, everybody. We are talking to Dr. Xuemei Zhong. She's a PhD assistant professor of medicine, of hematology and oncology at Boston University. She's the author of The Joy of Letting Go of Your Biomedical Career, The Ultimate Quitter's Guide to Flourish Without the Burnout. We'll be back. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone, to Alternative Talk, 1150 a.m., KKNW. This is Conscious Speaks, and we are live every Thursday with Kellie J. That's me. And if you're just tuning in, we're talking with author, health coach, and biomedical professor, Dr. Xuemei Zhong. And we were just talking about a lot of things on the show earlier. We're talking about her new book that just got picked up by Morgan. That'll be coming out in paperback in September. One of the things that I really enjoyed talking to Xuemei about was moral injury and burnout. And I'm really excited to just kind of have you explain to them, because it's new to me, how that works and what that is for the listeners out there.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So as we talked about before, WHO named burnout as the occupational phenomenon across different occupation fields. And it has to have three criteria. One is feelings of energy depletion and exhaustion. And two is increased mental distance from one's job, or feelings of negativity or cynicism related to one's job. And the third is, as a result, it reduced professional efficiency, right? And this can happen in any occupation. But I guess WHO is continue to investigate the how to redefine it in the future. But regardless how we, categorize whether it's a phenomenon or whether it's a disease, it's real and it's epidemic, especially in the medical field. But the medical field has something very specific and deep in terms of the burnout. And that's what we call moral injury.
Mm.
I believe originally the moral injury was a term used for soldiers on the battlefield. They're experiencing PTSD and just they feel their moral beliefs was transgressed deeply by their experience on the battlefield.
Yes.
Right. And I think doctors Simon Talbot and Dr. Wendy Dean are the two doctors. I believe they're the first one. I could be wrong. They're the first one to use this term in the medical professions. Of course, for the healthcare professionals, the moral injury is not about like killing another humans in the context of war,
Right.
but it is deeply because being unable to provide the high quality care and healing in the context of healthcare. And in their article, they cited a journalist called Diane Silver, have a description. It's very poetic, but I think you will love it. The moral injury is about a deep soul wound that pierces a person's identity, sense of morality, and the relationship to society.
Mm. Yes.
And that's what a lot of biomedical professionals experience in their inability to provide the care they intend to care. They swore in to be a physician scientist when they take the oath into the white coat, ceremony to save lives. But when they cannot do it because of the structure, their soul is deeply wounded.
Right. That's just, it's so powerful to me how those mirror each other, and how painful that must be, and how that does trigger what we feel is burnout, but it's something so much deeper.
Right. It is much deeper. And that's why they believe the physician burnout is not really just, exhaustion or stress. Think about that, medical schools and whoever went through medical school, they have the capacity to deal with stress. Years of, tough training, like sleepless night, they can handle it. It's not like they cannot handle stress. They have full capacity to be resilient in those situations. But it's really the moral injury they experience, and that really be hurtful to their soul. And when they experience that, their body just responds into this protective mechanism. They just shut down, went into like a depression.
Yes.
What we saw, and that's their body is not cooperating.
Yeah, I feel that.
They lost compassion. They love this career, like what I described before. They really love the career. They love to save people, but the structure is in the way that they cannot. And this just horrible relationship was developed. They are there to compassionately love their patients, save their lives, but then a lot of them experience it turned into like a hatred.
Right.
They no longer feel, they drag themselves to go to work and seeing their patients, and the relationship between patients and doctors are not very merry.
Not as they could be, right? Not as they were
Yes.
imagined. Yeah, I
Right.
looked up I looked it up just real quick because, in how it transmutes over, unintentional errors. Military personnel are well trained in the rules of engagement and do a remarkable job making life or death decisions in war. However, sometimes unintentional error leads to the loss of life or non combatants, setting the stage for moral injury. And when you look at, the medical field is kind of a war field that, triage is trying to be done to help people prevent illness or to heal them. And when they aren't allowed to do that, or their hands are tied, or, some of the, it just seems to me like it's like a flip. It's just right there. It's the same thing.
Right. In my book, I mentioned an interesting research report that, the long hour when the doctors are burned out, they tend to prescribe more antibiotics to patients than they would normally do. It's a very,
Really?
interesting observation. And, you know, it, this is just like one little
Yeah,
example, but
yeah.
there are many things could go on wrong when physicians are burned out. And it is, I know a lot of my clients and other people in this field, it is quite brutal. It's just, I never imagined so much fear from physicians, fear of being sued
Mm.
by very teeny little mistake they could ever make. So to prevent that, they over protect, over test, over prescribe, just in case. So yeah, it's very brutal. It's
The whole
self,
circle, the whole
right,
circle.
propelling fear and stress and energy depletion. It's just
Right. For
that's
something
how it
that
works.
we would hope would have a little bit more transparency, but what I hear is, these healers are wanting to go work, and because of the burnout and the stress, then obviously in overworked and tired, and then that's when those mistakes happen. So then insurance and different big companies,
And
are
the legal
and the legal
issues,
issues
it's just
pop
up
up.
to them,
So
right?
that
It's just
exasperates the problem, right? And so then people become, on guard, like you said, stressed, and then not able to make those really good decisions,
right.
or to be able to show up rested or not burn out to do what it is that they wanted to love doing so much.
Right. And this is just not um, physicians like seeing patients.
Yeah.
This also happened to medical scientists and not being able to do what they love to do, and because of the way that the system's set up.
Right. It just seems like the whole level up process really can help people, that health life coach, help these different professionals really get back to base one, which is first figure out how to reconnect to their authentic self, to find self love and joy, to, figure out how to get off that merry-go-round long enough to take some self care. Um, and that's what I really hear coming through a lot in this conversation too, that can help lead to that flip starting sooner.
Right, right. And a lot of hospitals are picking up wellness programs for physicians nowadays, which is a very good thing. But it is like just conventional wellness program has their limitations, and in terms of how far it can go, it will not 100% solve the problem within the current system.
Right. What is your dream for the current system?
The current system still is going to be there for, for quite a while. But my dream is not really for the current system. I'm
Mm.
really looking to build a new system outside the current system. And
Yay!
that's really the solution.
Okay, so now you got me. I love that. What is your dream for how do you see the new system? Dream it big, sister. Share it with us. Share it with the world, the universe.
Oh my gosh. It's just my dream, but I do intend to realize it
Good.
in my lifetime. Yeah. So first of all, like in terms of leaving the old system, it's not for everyone. And because the system is still needed, still functioning, even though a lot has been showing that, the burnout and the moral injury is really indicating a bigger problem, not just individually for physicians and scientists, but really indicating a crisis for the system. So like recently, for example, Massachusetts Health and Hospital Association and Massachusetts Medical Society and Harvard School of Public Health, they actually jointly published a white paper titled "A Crisis in Healthcare: A Call to Action on Physician Burnout."
Mm.
And they realized this is already a crisis, and this is not on a individual level; it's the system either need to be changed or a new system need to be established. And this is not just for clinical and hospital, also in the biomedical research field. Dr. Bruce Alberts and Mark Kushner, Shirley Tagman, and Dr. Arnold Bomas from uh, UC San Francisco, Harvard Medical School, Princeton University, and National Health Cancer Institute. They're the forerunner, also calling on action to address systemic problems in the biomedical research enterprise. And that's, they are the, I think they are the really the visionaries
Mm.
to see through the burnout, moral injury from the individual to really recognize it's a systemic problem. It's not just the individual cannot handle the self care or stress.
Wow.
So that's why I say the wellness program is good, definitely needed to help them to um, individually to ease the situation, but it's not going to solve the problem within the system. So the solution is really outside the system.
I like that.
And yeah,
It made me think of Jerry Maguire when you see, when you said the white paper. I understand it's a pretty big deal, but that's what through my mind. Help me, help you, and so we need the big guns per se inside the system. Writing those white papers, getting that systemic change started. But like you said, that it's us little guys and us patients and everyone outside that has to do their part too, right?
right. So my big dream is really to help those, people who feel they're depressed, and often people say this is so bad. Only like a small percentage of physicians depressed to the point that they have suicidal thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 60% of them, it's a large number, do experience burnout. Among those people, this is not really bad. When you feel moral injury, to my point of view, it is really showing that uh, that person have a very sensitive soul.
Mm.
They're the forefront runner to sense the moral
Decline.
disalignment,
Yeah.
right? And it's really your body and mind and soul are chronically out of alignment, and they are the one that is sensitive enough to pick it out,
Mm.
right? And I believe they are the one is best fit to build a new medical system outside the current system.
Ooh, I like that. I just got spiritual chills. It's that word that we like, way showers.
Yeah, they're not the weaker ones. They're not, the weak of the link,
Yeah.
or they're not the one that is the loser in the cohort and like have to quit their job because they're not good at it.
It's because they
They're
got something else
actually,
to do.
yes, they're actually experiencing more of the sensitivity of their soul out of alignment, and they're the ones have a mission
Yes. Yes.
to break through this old system to create the new ones. And
I
those are
love
the
that.
clients I love to help with.
I love that. I love it because, you know, it's what I teach, that something that seems like our darkest moment is really a way shower to the next brightest light. And so anybody who's out there in the biomedical field or, that is, having the symptoms that we've talked about, they are actually being called to a higher action. And if they can see that there's another level up doorway to find this bright light and really help revolutionize that next level up in humanity's way of processing healthcare, that's your perfect clients, right?
Right, right. It is not easy looking at, their
No.
physical situation, their job situation. It is a glorious, profession to be a physician, to be
Mm-hmm.
a medical scientist, and they have their original mission and their compassion. So, and also financially, it is a quite
Yes.
decent income and stable paycheck, and those are the big hurdles for them to come out of the system, and that's why they need help, the extra support, to bring clarity and bravery and handle all the fears around this matter, to really bring them close to what their purpose, what they meant to be, and
To-
their mission,
yeah. Their
close to
soul
their
journey.
heart.
Their soul,
Right.
just
And
like you found.
yeah, yeah, I do enjoy what I'm doing now, writing this book and help my clients to do this. And it's not easy. Whatever is easy is not breakthrough, right?
Right. Yeah.
And but this has to be done and have to have enough people experience it and has a deep understanding of it, and then they have uh, the innovative idea coming out of them to uh, to be awakened
Ah,
to a new system.
well, I love that you said it has to be done because it's it's that sense of, I don't want to say urgency, but it's that sense of knowing that can propel these way showers into that next moment to jump off the merry-go-round per se, and then decide how to participate with the merry-go-round is what I'm hearing versus still being flung around on it.
Right, right. They have to detach from it,
It
and that's the letting go part. But once you can letting go, it's just a bright field opens up for you, which you can never see before. You have to jump off that the merry-go-round and to see it,
I
to
agree. I
experience
agree.
it.
It's
You know,
with my own spiritual work, I agree. Like there's this blind faith involved, and now that I'm a coach as well, I get to be a hand holder too, um as a way shower of having jumped as you did. But it took a belief in not knowing and finally just being okay with believing that what was on the other side of that fear was going to be greater than the fear that permeated the room that I needed to enter before I could even walk through that door.
right. It is facing unknown is man's, biggest challenge, and that's where fear comes, right? And
Yeah.
it's all natural biologically. It's all natural put us on our this fight and flight mode, right?
Right. So,
And
as a biomedical doctor, I mean, you can actually scientifically say, yeah, it feels that wrong because it's literally overriding our senses, right?
right. I love the word overriding. Actually, the up level program is just rewiring and you know the whole process, and you don't have to experience fear
Yeah.
while you go through this. You can have a 20/20 vision
Yes.
of what's going to happen, and really
Co
make it
create it.
make the yeah, exactly, make the hard decision easier. And with the hand holding along the way, it doesn't have to be a hard breakthrough, it can be easy and fun.
And that there's others out there like you, right? And that's one thing I think that I know I would want people to know, and I'm sure you do, that if the person is sitting there having these feelings like I did when I was trying to figure out how to break through myself, you feel like you're the only one. But once you get through that doorway and then you blow your perception open, you realize, oh my gosh, there's other people here and they think the same way I do. And they want to do the same thing and they've been having the same thoughts. And there's this whole new group that you get to be with, right?
Yeah. But the support is definitely is critical to help going through this.
Oh, yeah. I will hands down say that. And
ever since you don't have to fight alone. Like
you don't have to fight alone.
You don't have to be the lone soldiers.
No, and that's the beautiful thing I love about your book. I'm going to come back to the book because if you read this book, listeners, and you get to meet someone, their whole story from childhood, how they perceived growing up forward, Dr. Xuemei's whole journey of wanting to become a doctor and what that looked like and how she created it moving forward and never gave up and how through, burnout and just discomfort found different ways to perceive and open up these different pathways. And now she writes this book and creates a level up process. And you can experience that not alone with this book, I assure you. And then if you are called to work with her, you can reach out and work with her. And so it's really, really amazing book. Again, why it was picked up, I'm sure, by Morgan and James, because it is such a great read. It's such a great story. It's called The Joy of Letting Go of Your Biomedical Career, The Ultimate Quitter's Guide to Flourish Without the Burnout. And it's written by my guest today and my friend, Dr. Xuemei Zhong, and she's the Assistant Professor of Medicine, Section of Hematology and Oncology for the Department of Medicine at Boston University. She is a health and life coach at hoewellness.com. I encourage you to reach out to her and to really find a place to open up your heart and find your authentic self. Thank you for joining us today so much, Xuemei.
Thank you for inviting me back. It's really enjoyable, and we have a lot to talk about.
Oh, we do. You already made a third show in my mind earlier. Okay, thank you. And everybody, I'm so blessed again to share time and space with you today who tuned in late listening through podcasts. Thank you, Alternative Talk Radio, and thank you, Eric Ryder and Mary Milano and Eric Crema, Don Avery, Larry Mitchell. I just want to thank everybody out there. Love wins when we choose love, and that's a circle. Love and namaste. Seat yourself.